G'day YouTube, this is a follow-up I'm doing on the Victorinox versus the Leatherman video I did previously. I demoed the Work Champ, the Swiss army knife, the Victorinox versus the Leatherman Wave, and wasn't really a fair comparison because they were two different tools for different purposes. I personally, out of the two, I prefer the quality of the Swiss Army knife, but as a work tool, I preferred the Leatherman because it was a more robust knife for that type of thing. The Victorinox is more a tool you leave in the car or something you probably don't want to take to work because you'd ruin it and it wouldn't look any good. But what I've got today is it's actually not mine. I borrowed this as a Victorinox Swiss tool. This is the one I said I would buy over the Leatherman Wave. Now I've been using the Wave at work quite a bit. I've had a good look at both of these and compared the two. The thing that's surprising about the Swiss Army knife, which this is totally different to all the other Swiss Army knives they make, is the large blade on this isn't really a knife. It's it's sort of like a bread knife with like a serrated blade on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's not really a sharp knife like with the Leatherman. It's got quite a good blade on it. You can see that's had quite a bit of work at the moment. So that for me, that's a major selling point. I use this all the time for cutting all kinds of things. And the thing on the end, I was able to use that the other day to tighten up my glasses screw. So you can't do that with this. And the other thing that this has got that this doesn't is, I'll just show you, it's got the bit kit. The removable bits and bit kit. So you've got that. I've only got the two in there at the moment. I've actually got a clip that goes on my belt, and it's got like hex bits and all other things. So as for a tradesman, if you're like me and you're using it at work, this has probably got more functionality. You can do more with it, but this is a much better quality tool. So the steel on this, you remember my last video I rubbished the steel on this knife. I'm still rubbishing the steel on this knife. I've used the blade on this quite a bit now. I don't know if you can see there. I don't know how good this camera is. But basically the blade, now I haven't used it that much, I've used it enough, but there's all little chips all out along that blade, and it hasn't had a lot of use. I've stripped a few wires with it and stuff like that. That will never happen to a Victorinox knife, not for years and years and years. It's a much higher tensile, better grade steel in the Victorinox. That being said though, for a work knife, I would still use this over the Victorinox, but it is not as good a quality knife. It just has more functionality on it. So if you're choosing between these two, in my opinion, as a work knife, I would probably go backwards here on the camera, I would go the Leatherman as a work knife. And this is more a tool I'd have for the car or camping or something like that, just sort of something that you would have. If you haven't got any other tools with you, this would be a handy thing to have. The other thing this does that Leatherman doesn't do, when you open up the pliers, which I use pliers a lot, this has got a really nice, it snaps open and closed very smoothly. And I can tell that's going to be like that till the day this knife is not in use anymore. It's going to remain that way. Whereas this one, I've only had it a short while, and what is tending to happen now is it actually gets stuck closed. The pliers sort of get caught on some of the other things in here. So that's what I'm saying about the build quality of the Leatherman is just not as good as the Swiss Army knife, and I don't think it ever will be. I had one years ago, and it was quite good, but it never ever matched the quality of the Swiss Army knife. So anyway. What else? I mean, basically the tools are the same. This has got a hacksaw and a wood saw on it. This has got the same. Both locking blades. A lot of the tools lock, so you've got your locks there versus the locks there on the Victorinox. I mean, that's about it really. I mean, I would still, long story short, this is a more functional tool, but the Victorinox is a better quality tool. So this will last you a lot longer than this will. Just one last thing, my suggestion to Victorinox, I've actually emailed them several product suggestions. They got straight back to me and said, righto, we're looking into developing those knives and those tools, so that's really good service. Like, it was literally within hours they emailed me back. So another suggestion I'll give to Victorinox is you need to make this knife with a blade the same as this, and it needs to have the detachable bits. That's the only thing you have to do to this knife. The scissors on this are great. I would recommend changing the scissors on all your other knives to these scissors, because in the other Victorinox knives, the spring sometimes goes outside the arm there and it becomes a bit of a pest. They're still good scissors, but you can see that that's never ever going to break. It's just going to keep working. So that's the only two things I would change with that knife. I would put a decent knife blade on it. Maybe even add it, like keep the existing bread knife and then have a different blade as well as that, because the Leatherman has the standard, it's got a serrated blade as well as the standard knife blade, so that is quite handy. Alright, cheers.